Look at these little guys flying around the screen.
Dangun Feveron.
Enthusiastic, vibrant, funny, and fast. This title would definitely catch my attention. Disco space shooter wasn't a genre I thought I would cover, but here we are. I wonder if Watanabe played this, because the style of this game reminds me of Space Dandy. As standard practice, you have 3 ships to choose from, varying between a focus shot to wide range shot. We've been here, done that, worn the t-shirt, moving on. I personally went with and like the mid-range shot. From there you have 3 different power shots, lock-on, bomb, and roll type. I enjoyed lock-on, but it has its cons. The lock-on shoots saw blades on singular targets, but when there's a lot of enemies on screen, your focus on one enemy leaves you open to other enemy fire. It's fun and great on bosses, but it's not the best for scoring purposes. Now the bomb power shot is not how you would expect them to react compared to the other bullet hell titles. The bombs are slow and require practice. It's powerful when used correctly, but typically seasoned players use this shot for scoring purposes. The final power shot is roll type. This is a charge shot with a penetration effect. It's a good choice for beginners, and admittedly, I did not realize this until after I completed my first playthrough, which explains why I died a lot, as I was sticking with the lock-on power shot. And finally, you get to choose your speed out of 4 choices. The cursor starts you on the second option, and I can say, with confidence, that selecting the slowest speed is not ideal for this game. I stuck with the second option, but I feel like I should have gone with the third. This is a very reactive title, and as someone starting out, 3 seems to be the most balanced. Experts suggest using the fastest speed, which I can sympathize with and even understand, but good God, this game is fast. I found myself running into bullets trying to avoid other bullets on speed 4. So if this is your first time playing this, here's my suggestion. Select the second ship with the roll type power shot on speed 3. I wouldn't be surprised if you play better than I did. Despite old me's suggestion, this doesn't stop the game from being difficult. Editor me went back for a second playthrough. That being said, even when I applied old me's suggestions, sure, I didn't die on the first level, but past that, I was dying a lot. In fact, I don't know why it took me many deaths for me to figure this out, but Dangun Feveron is incredibly unforgiving. I'm not saying it's unfair, but holy hell. If Donpachi was robbing you of your pocket change, then Dangun Feveron is straight up mugging you and spitting in your face. Just like Dodonpachi, if you meet specific requirements, you'll be able to fight the secret boss. I was not able to meet these requirements because personally I don't have the ability to walk on water. However, this guy can. Thankfully there isn't a second loop, so if you can clear all 5 stages without dying, you'll encounter... Hibachi? Do you get it? Because the true boss in Dodonpachi is named Hachi. Hibachi. As soon as you're about to confront Hibachi, your first task to quickly, and I mean quickly, Jesus, I can't even read that fast, quickly interpret the worst localization you could ever imagine. A wife is what with a sufficient mare anglaise. I like a IMO Yukon. Tea confectionery was prepared with much trouble. For you who interfered with the tea time, I will have you compensate for the crime which injured feeling. You do what? What? Like most of Cave's secret boss battles, it redefines the word challenging. After you defeat Hibachi, you're treated... tortured with more poor localization. Does it break by this? Nothing is visible. Here, it is where? I am doing what? It is what that you know, what? What is this? This is just garbage. I'm not reading all this. What? No. Anyway, as stated before, this is a fast game. A really, really fast game. And it's also short. Usually these titles are 30-minute affairs, but this can be completed in 22 minutes. But since the game is predicated on speed, I don't really see this as a con. While playing the game, I did enjoy the vibrant colors and the music. but the backgrounds in the enemies did not have much variety. If it wasn't for the aesthetic and the enthusiastic announcer and the fast mechanics, I could see people regarding Dangun Feveron as a bland shoot-'em-up. In fact, I came to find out I wasn't too far off from this thought. It turns out it was exactly this reason why the title has such a strong sense of identity. If the text ending scene wasn't an indication that this game seems a bit rushed, let me clarify something. Dangun Feveron was being developed in conjunction with S.O.S. Based on a 2010 Arcadia magazine interview with Tsuneki Ikeda, he states, quote, "It was also a very difficult title for us. I was working on S.O.S. at the time, so I only wanted to get involved with Dangun Feveron a little bit, towards the end. At first, the team was making a normal mecha STG, but the stats from the location tests were not that encouraging, and the team realized they had to do something. After many meetings, the idea that emerged was Disco Fever. That'll be cool. Everyone just went with it. I admit my memory is very hazy on all this though." During this interview, Ikeda also mentions that Feveron changed 5 to 6 times during its concept stages, one of those concepts being themed after heavy metal. But the staff really resonated with the goofy nature of the disco era, and settled on that. S.O.S. released in April of 1998, with Feveron following up in September that year. Quick editor's note, sorry for anyone who was confused that I covered Feveron in this episode, and not S.O.S. I thought Feveron was released prior, so I didn't stay consistent chronologically, so that's my bad.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
In terms of story, it's not something that's really experienced through gameplay. But again, given the ridiculous nature of this game, it really doesn't matter. But if you really want to know, the premise is something. Admiral Gratze is the highest-ranking military officer of planet Melt. He was on his way to conquer Earth when he made a pit stop on planet Fever, despite being warned that Fever was dangerous. He believed this was just superstition. While having a, quote, steamy video call with his wife Eileen, it was cut off by planet Fever's electromagnetic waves. Look, for most people, this would be disappointing, but for Gratze, this was enough to declare war on Fever, and that's literally the backdrop of this game. Our boy Gratze here gets blue-balled, and war is the repercussion. On one hand, you could call this extremely petty. On the other hand, this man clearly loves his wife. This game is charming, and I'm not surprised that it has a cult following. It's energetic, funny, and unique. But to be perfectly frank, if you put this in a room with my choice of other cave titles, this wouldn't be my first one to play. I also want to state that Feveron is the hardest shmup title I have covered so far. It may be a short game, but it will wipe the floor with you at any opportunity. And based on this game's eccentric design, I believe Dangun Feveron is the Majora's Mask of cave shmups. They both have a distinctive theme, atmosphere, and overall game feel that makes it stand out from its contemporaries. And just like Majora's Mask, some of those quirks were just too weird for some people to resonate with. I can see why this game is so divisive with shmup fans, but if there's one thing I can take away from experiencing this title, it was in 1998 that Cave has, and continued to, show their competency for tackling unique settings in the shmup genre.